The five-star restaurant gleamed with crystal and candlelight. Megan Foster stood outside, staring through the windows at people in designer clothes and expensive jewelry. She looked down at herself. Thrift store dress with a visible stain on the sleeve, worn flats, hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. She didn't belong here. Her best friend Lisa had set up this blind date with her cousin, insisting Megan needed to get back out there after her divorce. What Lisa hadn't mentioned was that the restaurant would be this fancy, or that her cousin was apparently wealthy enough to afford it. Megan had come straight from her second job, cleaning office buildings, and hadn't had time to go home and change. She'd texted to cancel 3 times, but Lisa had been relentless. "Just go. Alex won't care what you're wearing. He's a good person." Taking a deep breath, Megan walked inside. The host looked at her with barely concealed disdain. "Can I help you?" "I'm meeting someone." "Alex Donovan?" The host's expression shifted to surprise. "Mr. Donovan is at table 7. This way." Megan followed him through the restaurant, acutely aware of people staring. Her dress looked even worse under the chandeliers. She spotted her date, a man in an impeccable navy suit, dark hair, sharp features. He was checking his phone and looked like he belonged on a magazine cover. This was a mistake. A huge mistake. Alex looked up as she approached. And Megan watched his expression change, surprise, then confusion, then something she couldn't quite read. "I'm Megan," she said quickly, wanting to get this over with. "I know I don't look like... I came from work and I didn't have time to change, and I understand if you want to leave." "Lisa probably didn't tell you that I'm not, that I work 2 jobs and I can't afford places like this and—" "Sit down," Alex interrupted gently. "Please." Megan sat, feeling every eye in the restaurant on her stained dress. "I'm Alex, and before you apologize again, let me say something." He leaned forward. "You're the first woman who's shown up to meet me looking like a real person instead of someone trying to impress me." "I'm not trying to impress you," Megan admitted. "I'm trying not to die of embarrassment," Alex smiled, genuinely smiled. "What do you do?" "You mentioned 2 jobs." "I'm a teaching assistant during the day, special education. At night, I clean offices. And on weekends, I freelance as a graphic designer." She gestured at her dress, hence the beggar look. "I came straight from scrubbing floors. You work 3 jobs?" "I have a son, Toby. He's 7. His father left us with debt and no child support. I do what I have to do." She met Alex's eyes defiantly, expecting judgment. Instead, she saw respect. "That's incredibly admirable," Alex said quietly. "Raising a child alone while working 3 jobs. You must be exhausted." "All the time," Megan admitted. "But Toby's worth it. He's the best thing in my life. Tell me about him." And somehow, in that expensive restaurant in her stained dress, Megan found herself relaxing. Alex asked real questions about Toby's interests, her work with special needs kids, her graphic design. He seemed genuinely interested, not making small talk, but actually listening. "Can I confess something?" Alex said after their food arrived. "Lisa warned me you'd probably show up in work clothes. She said you'd try to cancel because you felt out of place. She made me promise not to care. Did she mention I'd look like I wandered in off the street?" "She said you'd look like someone with real priorities." "She was right." Alex paused. "I'm CEO of Donovan Technologies. I've been on probably 50 first dates in the past 2 years. Every woman showed up in designer clothes, perfectly styled, trying to impress me. It was exhausting. You showed up in clothes with actual dirt on them because you were working to support your son. That's not embarrassing. That's real. You're not embarrassed to be seen with me?" Megan gestured at the other diners, some of whom were still watching them. "I'm proud to be seen with you," Alex corrected. "You're sitting here in work clothes because you prioritize your child over impressing strangers. That takes courage." As dinner progressed, Megan learned about Alex, about his own difficult childhood, raised by a single mother who'd worked multiple jobs to support him. About how he'd built his company from nothing, driven by memories of his mother's struggles. "I see my mother in you," Alex admitted. That determination, that refusal to give up. She wore secondhand clothes and worked herself to exhaustion so I could have opportunities. "You're doing the same for your son." "Your mother sounds amazing." "She was. She died 5 years ago." But she taught me that real wealth isn't money, it's character. That the people working the hardest often have the least, and that's a broken system I'm trying to fix. They talked for 3 hours. When the check came, Alex paid without letting Megan see the total, sensing it would make her uncomfortable. "Can I see you again?" Alex asked as they left the restaurant. "Maybe somewhere less formal? Where you don't have to worry about what you're wearing." "You really want to see me again? After this disaster?" "This wasn't a disaster. This was the first honest date I've had in years." He took her hand. "You showed up as yourself. No pretense, no performance. That's exactly who I want to get to know." Over the following months, Alex became part of Megan and Toby's lives. He helped with homework, attended Toby's school events, showed up at Megan's jobs to bring her dinner when she was working late. "Why are you doing this?" Megan asked one evening. "You could date anyone. Someone without all my complications." "Your complications are what make you real," Alex said. "You juggle 3 jobs and single parenthood, and you still show up with kindness and integrity. That's not a complication. That's strength. I showed up to our first date looking like a beggar. You showed up to our first date looking like someone who works 3 jobs to support her child. The other diners saw your clothes and judged you. I saw your character and fell in love. A year after that first date, Alex proposed, not at a fancy restaurant, but at Megan's small apartment after she'd gotten home from work, still in her cleaning uniform. "I fell in love with you the moment you walked into that restaurant in your work clothes," Alex said. "While everyone else judged you, I saw the most beautiful thing I'd ever witnessed. Someone who prioritizes what actually matters. Someone who works herself to exhaustion for her child. Someone real in a world of performance." At their wedding, Alex told their story to tears and applause. "Megan showed up to our first date in a stained dress," he explained. "She'd come straight from work, had no time to change, was mortified. I fell in love instantly. Not despite her clothes, but because of what they represented. A woman who values work over appearance, her child over impression, authenticity over pretense. While the restaurant judged her, I saw exactly who I'd been searching for." Megan added, "I thought I'd ruined everything by showing up looking like a beggar. But Alex saw past the surface to who I actually was. Someone doing her best in difficult circumstances. That night taught me that the right person doesn't need you to be polished. They just need you to be real." Years later, they'd tell Toby, now a teenager, about that first date. "Mom was embarrassed," Alex would say. "She thought her work clothes made her unworthy. But those clothes told me everything I needed to know, that she was someone who worked hard, prioritized her child, and had the courage to show up anyway." The other people in the restaurant stared, Megan would add. They saw someone who didn't belong. Alex saw someone who belonged everywhere because I was authentic. Because sometimes showing up in work clothes is more impressive than designer dresses. Sometimes what looks like a disaster is actually the most honest introduction possible. And sometimes the person sitting across from you sees past the stains and wear to the character and courage underneath. Falling in love not despite your circumstances, but because of the strength they reveal. If this story moved you, share and subscribe for more tales about authenticity mattering more than appearance. Comment about a time someone saw past your surface to your true worth. Those moments of being truly seen, exactly as we are, can change everything.